Have you ever wondered why some people seem to have answers to questions that most of us can't even formulate? There's an ancestral secret that few know, a truth that monks from the most remote mountains of China have guarded for centuries. If you continue seeking answers and feeling disconnected, your spirit might be trying to alert you about something the ancients already knew. Ignoring these signs isn't just dangerous for your mental peace. It could literally be blocking your deepest connection with the universe. Imagine for a moment what it would be like to feel completely aligned with the cosmic forces that govern our existence. The ancient monks didn't just imagine it, they lived this reality daily through the cultivation of Shen. While you struggle with anxiety, insomnia, and a persistent feeling of emptiness, these masters navigated the cosmos using an ability that we all possess, but that modern life has almost completely suffocated. The cosmos is constantly speaking to us, said an ancient Taoist text, but we have forgotten the ancestral language of the spirit. This isn't just a beautiful metaphor, it's an urgent warning. When your Shen, your spirit, your highest consciousness is weakened, it's like trying to catch cosmic signals with a broken antenna. The messages arrive distorted or, worse yet, don't arrive at all. The oldest records of traditional Chinese medicine reveal something surprising. Monks who cultivated their Shen not only achieved extraordinary longevity, but developed capabilities that would seem supernatural by modern standards. They could sense weather changes before they happened, predict future events, and even influence natural processes through direct communication with what they called the cosmic web. What are we losing by ignoring this knowledge? Much more than you imagine. That intuition you occasionally feel, it's just a fraction of what your Shen is trying to communicate to you. That moment of sudden clarity that seems to come from nowhere. It's your spirit briefly capturing a cosmic signal before being muffled again by the noise of modern life. Recent studies in neuroscience are just beginning to understand what ancient monks already knew. There's a part of our being that functions as a receiver of information that transcends time and space. And the most disturbing thing, this ability is atrophying in us, generation after generation. If you've been feeling a tiredness that no rest seems to cure, if you've woken up in the middle of the night with an inexplicable sense of urgency, or if you feel that something greater is calling you, but you can't identify what, Shen might be desperately trying to re-establish your ancestral cosmic connection. The truth is that within you exists a door to the cosmos, the same door that monks used to access wisdom beyond common understanding. This door is present in every human being, although few know how to open it again. And the most alarming thing, the longer it remains closed, the harder it becomes to recognize its existence. Your spirit is patiently waiting for you to reconnect it with the cosmos. The signs are there. The question is, will you continue to ignore them until it's too late? Ancient Chinese texts describe Shen in a way that our Western minds can barely comprehend. It's not just spirit in the sense we usually understand, but a refined vital force that serves as our direct connection to the fabric of the universe. When a monk said, "My Shen conversed with the stars," he wasn't speaking metaphorically. He was describing an experience as real as you, feeling the heat of the sun on your skin right now. At the heart of traditional Chinese medicine, Shen is considered the most subtle of the three fundamental energies, along with Jing, vital essence, and Qi, energy. While Jing could be compared to your body's hardware and Qi to the operating system, Shen would be the most sophisticated program, the one that allows you to connect to the universal cosmic network. That's why monks dedicated decades to perfecting techniques to cultivate and purify their Shen. When Shen is clear as mountain water, the cosmos reveals its secrets, wrote the legendary physician Sun Simiao in the 7th century. This clarity wasn't achieved by chance. Taoist monasteries in the Wudang Mountains developed meticulous routines to transform Shen into a functional cosmic bridge. Waking before dawn, when yang energy begins to rise. Specific breathing practices that expanded consciousness beyond the limits of the physical body. Purifying foods that eliminated energetic mists that obscured the Shen. What modern science is discovering is fascinating. Researchers at Peking University have identified unique brain patterns in advanced meditators who cultivate practices associated with Shen, patterns that show an almost impossible coherence between different brain regions. It's as if the brains of these practitioners were tuned to a different frequency, capturing signals that remain invisible to most of us. Imagine your Shen as a cosmic antenna. Now think that most people have this antenna rusted, bent, or completely broken. Meanwhile, ancient monks kept their antennas impeccably aligned, constantly adjusted to receive the most subtle transmissions from the cosmos. No wonder they could predict natural events, understand patterns invisible to others, and access states of consciousness that transcended the limitations of time and space. The connection between Shen and the cosmos wasn't seen by the ancients. As something mystical or supernatural, it was considered our natural condition. Imagine a child born with perfect hearing ability, but who grows up in such a noisy environment that they gradually lose the ability to distinguish subtle sounds. Similarly, we are born with the innate capacity for cosmic communication through Shen, but the noise of modern life, environmental toxins, and disconnection from nature atrophy this ability until we forget it exists. Classical texts like the Huang, Dinajing, the Yellow Emperor's classic of internal medicine, describe healthy Shen as bright as the stars and responsive as the echo in the mountains. This isn't just a poetic state, it's a technical description of a Shen that functions as it should, receptive, vibrant, and in perfect resonance with cosmic energies. Think of Shen as a quantum receiver transmitter. Modern quantum physics is beginning to theorize about non-locality and quantum entanglement, concepts that Taoist masters had already been applying for millennia through the cultivation of Shen. When a monk said he could feel the pain of a distant tree, or communicate with a brother in a distant monastery, he was demonstrating what today we might call quantum entanglement of Shen. The most extraordinary thing is that this ability wasn't exclusive to a chosen few. Every human being is born with the potential to develop this cosmic communication. Monks didn't possess anything that you don't possess. They simply dedicated their lives to cultivating what most of us neglect. Imagine living in a world where your intuition is as reliable as your five senses, where synchronicities aren't rare coincidences, but daily occurrences that guide your decisions, where you can sense disturbances in the energy field around you before they manifest as physical events. This was the reality of those who cultivated Shen as a cosmic bridge. And the most frightening thing? This capacity is dormant in you at this very moment, waiting to be awakened. Meanwhile, your spirit continues trying to communicate with the cosmos, but without the proper channel, the signals manifest as symptoms that modern medicine can hardly explain. The disconnection of Shen from the cosmos doesn't happen overnight. It's a gradual process that leaves clear signs along the way. These signs are like whispers that, ignored for long enough, eventually transform into screams in the form of deep physical and emotional imbalances. Recognizing these warnings can be the difference between a life of constant frustration and the awakening of capabilities you never imagined possessing. The first and perhaps most prevalent sign is an exhaustion that seems to have no apparent physical cause. You sleep enough, maybe even take supplements and vitamins, but still wake up without energy, as if something were draining your vitality during the night. Ancient TCM texts describe this as Shen wandering without anchor, when your spirit, unable to nourish itself from cosmic energy, desperately searches for alternative sources, often unsuccessfully. This isn't just common fatigue, it's the tiredness of a spirit that has lost its connection to the primordial source. People with this symptom frequently report a feeling of living by half, as if something fundamental were missing, even when their lives seem complete in material aspects. The second sign manifests as a severe blockage of natural intuition. Humans are intuitive beings by nature. Our Shen is constantly receiving information from the cosmic field that surrounds us. When this ability diminishes, you begin to notice an absence of meaningful synchronicities in your life. The wonderful coincidences that once seemed to guide you disappear. Decisions become painfully difficult because you've lost access to your inner compass. It's like navigating unknown waters with broken instruments, relying only on limited logic. When your being was designed to access a much broader wisdom, monks called this fog on the celestial mirror. When Shen, which should clearly reflect cosmic wisdom, becomes clouded and can no longer capture the subtle signals that guide our path. The third sign is particularly disturbing, a persistent feeling of misalignment with your life purpose. This isn't just professional dissatisfaction or questioning life choices. It's a deep restlessness in the soul, as if you were following a map to a destination that isn't yours. Ancient texts describe Shen as our cosmic navigator that naturally guides us to our unique destiny in the universe. When this connection deteriorates, you may be living a life that seems adequate externally, but internally generates a constant feeling of being on the wrong path. This misalignment eventually manifests as chronic anxiety, depression, and a sense of futility that no modern therapy seems to completely resolve. The fourth sign reveals itself during nighttime hours: persistent insomnia, or more subtly, dreamless sleep or fragmented dreams. In TCM, Shen must anchor itself in the heart during sleep, allowing the spirit to travel through the subtle realms while the body rests. This process regenerates not only your physical body, but also your spirit. When Shen is disconnected from the cosmos, this anchoring becomes unstable. You may fall asleep only to wake up agitated at 3 a.m., what the ancients called the hour when Shen wanders, or you may sleep 8 hours and still wake up without the feeling of renewal that sleep should provide. Dreams, which are natural channels of cosmic communication, become scarce or chaotic, depriving you of essential guidance that should come during the dream state. The fifth sign manifests as what can only be described as cosmic anxiety, a deep and inexplicable fear of the unknown, even when there are no tangible threats in your life. It's the feeling that something monumental is about to happen, but you can't identify what. Monks recognize this symptom as a Shen that detects changes in the cosmic field, but cannot interpret them correctly due to the weakened connection. It's like capturing fragments of a vital transmission, but not enough to understand the complete message, leaving you in a perpetual state of alertness without knowing what you're protecting yourself against. This cosmic anxiety often leads to compulsive behaviors, excessive consumption, or seeking distractions, anything to muffle the uncomfortable feeling that something important is escaping your perception. The most alarming thing about these 5 signs is that conventional medicine often diagnoses them as isolated conditions: anxiety, depression, insomnia, chronic fatigue, treating only the symptoms while ignoring their true origin, a Shen disconnected from its cosmic source. Ancient masters would observe our modern society and see millions of people treating the consequences without ever addressing the root cause. The practices that ancient monks developed to cultivate Shen as a channel of cosmic communication weren't arbitrary rituals. They were spiritual technologies, refined over millennia of meticulous observation and experimentation. These techniques had a single purpose: to transform Shen into a crystalline receiver-transmitter capable of tuning into the most subtle frequencies of the universe. The most extraordinary thing is that these practices, although deeply powerful, are surprisingly simple in their essence. Mental silence was considered the fundamental foundation of all cosmic communication. Unlike modern meditation that often seeks only stress reduction, the practices of Zhuo Wang, sitting in forgetting, aimed to create a mental vacuum so complete that the cosmos would naturally fill it with information. A Taoist master from the 9th century wrote, "When the surface of the mental lake is completely still, the sky can reflect in it perfectly." Monks practiced this radical quietness for progressively longer periods, starting with minutes and eventually sustaining this state for hours or even days. What they discovered was fascinating. After approximately 40 minutes of absolute mental silence, a state of cosmic receptivity naturally emerged, as if the universe recognized that finally there was someone listening. Breath control was the direct bridge between the physical body and Shen. Monks developed specific breathing techniques that altered not just the physiological state, but the very quality of consciousness. The Ziwu breathing followed cosmological cycles, slowly inhaling for 9 beats when cosmic yang was ascending and exhaling for 6 when it was descending. Modern studies in neuroscience are just beginning to understand how specific breathing patterns alter brain activity. What scientists are discovering corresponds exactly to what the monks described. Certain respiratory frequencies synchronize the brain hemispheres and induce highly receptive states where the barrier between the individual, self, and the universal field becomes permeable. The diet to cultivate Shen as a cosmic channel was surprisingly specific. It wasn't just about purification. It was a sophisticated science of adjusting biochemistry to optimize spiritual receptivity. Foods were classified not just by nutrients, but by their ability to clear or obscure Shen. Foods that grew at high altitudes, closer to the sky, were considered particularly potent for elevating Shen. Fruits and vegetables that absorbed large amounts of sunlight were prioritized, while heavy, excessively yang foods, or those that grew in darkness, were limited. Intermittent fasting, practiced long before it became a modern trend, was strategically used before cosmic communication ceremonies. Monks observed that after 14-16 hours without food, Shen naturally became lighter and more receptive, a discovery that modern neuroscience confirms by documenting how intermittent fasting increases neuroplasticity and mental clarity. Rituals weren't mere superstitions, but precise technologies to amplify Shen's ability to function as a cosmic bridge. A particularly powerful ritual involved what monks called Gui Shen, the return of the spirit. At dawn, the practitioner positioned themselves facing east, performed a specific sequence of movements that activated meridians related to Shen, followed by a visualization where they imagined their spirit expanding to the stars and then returning imbued with cosmic wisdom. These rituals created non-ordinary neurological states that modern research is just beginning to map. States where the barriers between the observer and the observed temporarily dissolve. What all these practices shared was a sophisticated understanding of the relationship between microcosm and macrocosm. Monks understood that the human being is a fractal of the universe. Each of us contains the same patterns and principles that operate on the cosmic scale. By refining the internal microcosm through these practices, they naturally aligned with the external macrocosm. Cosmic communication wasn't seen as something supernatural, but as the natural state of a human being functioning at full capacity. The most impressive thing, These practices were meticulously documented and preserved. They aren't abstruse theories or speculations. They're tested technologies that have generated consistent results over millennia. And the best-kept secret: they work regardless of beliefs or spiritual affiliations. They are universal human technologies, as effective today as they were 2,000 years ago in the remote mountains of China. We now stand at a crucial moment, a turning point that ancient texts called the decision of the spirit. It is the instant when you recognize that your cosmic connection isn't just dormant, it's actively calling to you. But there exists a fundamental obstacle, a catastrophic error that almost everyone makes when trying to re-establish this sacred bridge between their Shen and the cosmos. This error is believing that cosmic communication is something you do, when in reality it's something you allow. The modern mind is conditioned to conquer, achieve and master, approaches that are precisely the opposite of what's needed to open the cosmic channel. Monks understood that Shen cannot be forced to connect. It needs to be released to return to its natural state of universal resonance. It's like trying to hold water with tightly closed hands. The more we squeeze, the more it escapes between our fingers. Cosmic connection requires open, receptive hands. The medical records from ancient monasteries reveal something deeply disturbing. Those who persistently ignored cosmic signals eventually developed what was called the imprisoned spirit syndrome, a condition that began with subtle symptoms, like those we discussed earlier, but progressively manifested as concrete physical diseases. The heart, considered Shen's dwelling place, was particularly vulnerable. Contemporary studies are just beginning to validate this connection, showing surprising correlations between spiritual disconnection and cardiovascular diseases, autoimmune disorders, and even certain forms of cancer. Think for a moment. How many times have you felt an inexplicable impulse, a powerful intuition, or a significant dream, and simply ignored it? Each time we do this, we are essentially telling the cosmos, "I'm not interested in your wisdom." Over time, these repeated refusals weaken the communication channel until it becomes almost inaudible. It's like constantly hanging up the phone. When someone important is trying to reach you with vital information, eventually the calls stop coming. Are you truly prepared to hear what the cosmos has to tell you? This is a question that must be considered with deep honesty. Cosmic communication isn't selective. Once the channel is open, you can't choose to receive only comfortable or convenient messages. Monks understood that establishing this connection meant opening oneself to truths that could fundamentally challenge one's worldview and identity. Many aren't ready for such transformation. Imagine sitting before an ancient sage who knows every detail of your life, your deepest fears, your true talents, your authentic purpose, and who is about to share all this with you without filters or softening. The cosmos communicates with this same relentless frankness through a receptive Shen. The question isn't whether the cosmos is trying to communicate, it always is. The question is, are you prepared to listen? We are at a decisive moment in human history, a period when cosmic frequencies are intensifying in ways that ancient texts predicted. Monks spoke of cycles of approximately 5,000 years, where the barriers between dimensions would temporarily become thinner, facilitating cosmic communication for those whose Shen was adequately prepared. Many traditions around the world independently point to our current era as one of these critical periods. The choice now lies before you. Continue living with a disconnected Shen, navigating blindly in a universe whose signals you cannot interpret, or take the courageous step of re-establishing your natural cosmic heritage. This isn't a trivial decision, it's literally the choice between two completely different realities, two fundamentally distinct ways of existing as a human being. What will be your response to the cosmos's call? The journey of reconnecting your Shen with the cosmos need not be traveled alone. For millennia, this knowledge was preserved in small circles, transmitted only to a chosen few who demonstrated they were truly ready. Today, we are at a unique moment in history where these ancestral secrets are finally becoming accessible to those who feel the inner call. The first step to restore your cosmic communication is surprisingly simple, though not always easy. Create a space of absolute silence in your daily life. Begin with just 5 minutes a day, not to meditate or visualize, but simply to be fully present with your Shen in a receptive state. The ancients called this opening the door of heaven, the moment when you consciously create an opening for the cosmos to begin communicating again. The transformation that occurs when Shen reconnects to the cosmic field is nothing short of extraordinary. People who have re-established this communication report almost daily synchronicities, intuitions that prove accurate, and a sense of purpose and direction that no therapy or belief system could provide. More importantly, they describe a feeling of coming home, the recognition that they were never truly separated from the cosmos, just temporarily disconnected. If you felt a deep resonance with any part of what I've shared today, this is no coincidence. It's your own Shen confirming a truth it already knows. The cosmos is constantly seeking receptive channels, and something in you is already responding to this call. This is the moment to make a conscious decision to be part of a community of people who are rediscovering this ancient wisdom in a modern context. To continue this journey together and gain access to specific practices that monks use to cultivate Shen as a cosmic bridge, click now on the subscribe button below. Each week I'll share a different aspect of this ancestral tradition with practical exercises and knowledge you can immediately apply in your life. By subscribing, you aren't just ensuring access to this knowledge, you're declaring to the cosmos your intention to re-establish this sacred communication. If this content touched something deep in you, demonstrate your support by clicking the like button. Each like helps bring this vital message to more people who are feeling the same call you're feeling now. Algorithms are our modern allies in spreading this ancient knowledge, and your like is a powerful way to contribute to this expansion of collective consciousness. Finally, share your experience in the comments below. How have you been feeling the disconnection of your Shen? Which of the 5 signs resonated most strongly with your personal experience? Write, I am ready to reconnect my Shen to the cosmos and observe the synchronicities that will begin to emerge in your life in the next 72 hours. There's a special power in declaring this intention publicly. The ancients knew that verbalizing a spiritual commitment creates waves in the cosmic field that accelerate the reconnection process. Remember, you aren't just consuming information. You're reactivating an innate capacity that is your birthright as a human being. Cosmic communication through Shen isn't an esoteric luxury for a chosen few. It's our natural condition that has been temporarily obscured by modern life. Subscribe now, leave your like, share your experience in the comments, and together we'll rekindle this ancestral flame that has never stopped burning within us. The cosmos is waiting for you and always has been.